Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, regardless of what time this lecture finds you. I hope it finds you well. I hope everybody's doing well this week. So this lecture will cover Module 2, Agendas and Outcomes for English 333, Professional Communications. First thing about professional communications is don't try to fix your mustache while you're talking. I'm not going to edit that out, so you'll see that I'm doing a few things differently this module. I'm attempting to use a little bit more editing software to bring things together, but I still want to leave sort of the raw package for you guys so that you can see how it looks, but also obviously in an edited format. So this week, the first impression and contact with an individual in a professional environment is important. It's that first impressions matter is what we've all sort of probably heard in some way, shape, or form in our experiences. But for most interactions, the first step, in particular when you think about like how you're trying to acquire business or get a job or your career or reposition yourself, those initial contacts are not just face-to-face like this, but they're also textual. There's a lot of things that have been changing dynamically, and we'll discuss them over the course of the next 5 weeks when it comes to how to build a professional toolkit. So in the following week, we'll be dealing with the cover letter this week particularly, but it will play into next week as well as we sort of flesh that out and think about how that cover letter will help us dictate the terms of the other documents that we're creating. So what that means is that we need to build an introduction that is dynamic enough that it gets the attention of the person we're trying to communicate with, but also conveys a sense of self, your own identity. And so that is what we will be working on. You will see that to facilitate that, we will need to spend probably about 5 weeks of the semester, the initial 5 weeks, to really build up a professional portfolio that is the foundation, the groundwork for professional communications. Because one thing that is valid is that you must feel professional. You must appear professional. It's a costume, right? But a costume isn't just putting on your tie and sport coat. It also is how we speak, it's how we write, it's how we communicate, and it's how we present ourselves to a very public place, the places that we want to have other people see us the way we choose to be seen. And so to do that, we have to have a cover letter, a package that starts from the very beginning, like a good book. It presents something about you that you think is valid and important. And again, for our purposes, we're dealing with a professional portfolio that is for employability. This same type of portfolio would be used in grant writing and business proposals, in loan proposals or applications, that type of thing. So what we're doing is we're following a pattern. First, we will do the cover letter, and we will discuss it a little bit in this lecture, but I won't want to rely on the readings more so than me just telling you something. So we will do a cover letter. We will learn how to make a request for letters of recommendation, not, as I have historically had students do, write fake letters of recommendation for others and then turn that in. So I'm preempting you with that now so that when we get there next week, you'll be like, oh yeah, I kind of made a point of mentioning that a few times. We'll also be working on a resume and or potentially a CV. You might even want both, depending on how much experience you've had in your field of expertise, or where you plan on going with your career, with your academic journey that you're on now. We will work on an elevator speech. What do you do when you have a very short window of time to talk to someone and get them to even allow you to put that package, that portfolio in their hands? Your Dragon Slayer story, which is sort of the follow-up. And another thing that isn't here that we're going to add this semester, connected to those speeches, is what to do in an interview. So one of my least favorite questions in interviews, and it isn't that there isn't a good answer, it's that it's a very constructed question, is, have you ever had an experience that was negative, and how did you make it a positive in the work experience? Well, that's troublesome because you have to already have that in your mind, what that looks like. You can riff it, but a lot of these type of interview questions fit the same mold as an elevator speech or that Dragon Slayer speech, in that everything needs to be really productively constructed in advance so that when someone asks you, not only do you look like you have a good answer, because you do, because you planned for that answer, but also that it doesn't feel like you're sort of stumbling along in the story. You also have time to practice that story with members of your family, people you care about, people in your community, whatever you need to do to be practiced with an appropriate audience so that when you speak to someone, you sound articulate and on the spot. So we'll be coming up on all that, but back to the cover letter. So for this week, you'll see that in the Files tab, I have readings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, the things that we're looking for, things like business etiquette. So I have an article on business etiquette, first impressions, and a cover letter. This is a 5-page article on cover letter rules. Again, these are not densely packed texts that need to be read. They are, well, there's a lot of space in them, so don't get overwhelmed when you look at them. You will see that 3, I'm just making sure that they're here and the links are working. This is a more traditional academic piece that I think is pretty solid. Let's see, this is 4. Again, just making sure everything opens. This is 3 pages. It's just, a lot of these are just bullet points, right? So I don't want you to feel like they're going to beat you up. And so there's 4, and then 5 is interview skills for cover letters. They're very important to understand how these things all connect, because as you think about the way the interview works, you will think about the type of questions they're asking. Now, going back to the module, you'll see that a draft of your cover letter, including the job advertisement link you're using to flesh out that cover letter, is due in this discussion board, this one that is right here, by Monday, February 6th. So you will use this discussion board to begin the drafting process of your cover letter after reviewing the articles in Module Week 2, period. Remember, I need to add the period in there. Or is it there? It's there. It's just tiny, right? Or maybe I'm just going blind. Remember to include the link for the job you're using for this assignment in this post. You will also need to review 2 other posts and offer 1 positive comment and 2 areas for improvement. Now, one question I think that might possibly come up is, what job description am I talking about? Well, you can't fill out a cover. You can't create a cover letter that is just the catch-all. Everybody should be able to fit into it. So you're going to go out and you're going to find either the job you want, the job you have, the dream job. I leave it open to you. It does not have to be real. You could say you want to apply for President of the United States, and as long as you can make sure that you're pointing to those things in your cover letter, that's fine. Remember that while we're developing a professional portfolio, the real goal here is to be able to build a skill set. So you don't have to use your own stuff if you don't want to, and you can even elaborate or exaggerate or go in other directions. Personally, I would use this opportunity to take whatever you already have for your professional toolkit, your portfolio, and polish it up and use this as an opportunity to really understand how all these things go together and continue to draft and revise and improve. Now, you will note that there's another note under the readings. If you're still waiting on the book, or you have received it, but I've had some people tell me that you got it today, Sunday, or even Saturday, you will have this week to catch up on the previous module's readings, which is the Toolkit Preface and Chapter 1. And we will begin to use those chapter tools that you've built in once you've done the reading to sort of continue to flesh out how we write things and move forward. And that is it. That is the extent of the work we'll be doing. So while the reading looks extensive, it's really not. A lot of it is bullet points and framed out in ways that I think make it easy for you to read, and it's dynamic. So if you have a question about the reading, about the modules, about the cover letter, please reach out to me first using Inbox, which is located here, or the Coffee House, which is located here. Understand again that it takes time for me to get back to the Coffee House because I don't get information that you posted something there. So always rely on Inbox if you can first. And with that, I hope you have a good week. We will talk soon. Bye-bye.